The Power of Giving, from Beggar to Businessman. Person's greatness is determined by their thoughts. This timeless truth has shaped every success story that ever existed. From Elon Musk to Steve Jobs to Jeff Bezos, all of them once dreamed of something unseen. They believed before anyone else did. But if our thoughts create our reality, why do so many people still struggle to rise? Why do so many dream but never live their dreams? Today's story will reveal the answer. It's a journey from weakness to strength, from begging to believing. Once, in a busy railway station, there lived a beggar. Every day, he stretched out his hand, hoping for a coin, a glance, a bit of mercy. He believed life had given up on him, until one day, fate crossed his path with a man who would change everything. A well-dressed businessman walked by, confident, focused, powerful. The beggar thought, "This man must be rich. If I ask him, he'll surely help," so he begged. But instead of money, the man asked him a question that pierced his soul. "Do you always take and never give? Have you ever offered anything to anyone?" The beggar froze. He had never thought of that before. With trembling lips, he said, "Sir, I am just a beggar. I have nothing to give." The businessman smiled and said, "If you believe you have nothing to give, you will always have nothing. I'm a businessman. I live by exchange. Give, and you will receive. But if you bring nothing to the table, no one will ever owe you anything." And with those words, he stepped onto his train and disappeared. The beggar stood there, speechless. No one had ever spoken to him like that. That night, he couldn't sleep. The businessman's words echoed in his mind like a bell that would never stop ringing. If you want to receive, you must first give. But what could a beggar give? He had no gold, no home, no power. Just a heart and two hands. Days passed. Then one morning, as he sat by the tracks, his eyes caught a patch of wildflowers glowing in the sunlight. A new thought bloomed within him. Maybe I can give these. He plucked a few flowers, and the next time someone dropped a coin into his hand, he offered them a flower in return. To his surprise, people smiled. Some said thank you. Some even gave more than before. For the first time, the beggar wasn't just taking, he was giving, and people felt it. As days turned into weeks, something magical happened. More people began to notice him. They didn't just see a beggar anymore. They saw a man with purpose, a man who gave beauty in exchange for kindness. He learned a powerful secret of life. When you add value, you rise in value. When you give light, people see you. When you offer something meaningful, life gives back more than you expect. One afternoon, the same businessman returned to the station. The beggar ran to him, smiling. "Sir, today I have something to give you. If you give me money, I'll give you flowers in return." The businessman looked at him with pride. He gave him cash and took a few flowers. Then he said, "You have understood the value of exchange. Today, you are no longer a beggar. You are a businessman." Those words changed everything. That night, the beggar sat beneath the stars and whispered to himself, "I am not a beggar. I am a trader. I offer something beautiful and people pay for it." From that day, he made a promise never to beg again. He started selling flowers. Then he bought more. Then he found other sellers. Soon, he wasn't standing by the tracks anymore. He was running a business. 6 months later, the same station. Two men met again. Both were well dressed, both confident. The businessman looked at him closely and said, "Do I know you?" The other man smiled. "Yes, I was once the beggar you refused to help, then the flower seller who gave you blooms. But today, I'm a businessman, traveling to expand my company." The businessman stood silent for a moment. Then he smiled. "That's incredible," he said. "What changed you?" The flower seller answered, "You taught me that we only receive when we give." That day I realized I was never just a beggar. I was a businessman all along. I only needed to see myself that way. Life is shaped by how you see yourself. If you believe you are small, you will remain small. But if you recognize the giant inside you, nothing can stop you from rising. Change your thoughts, and your destiny will follow. Because the richest soil in the world is not the ground beneath your feet, it's your mind. 1. The inner shift. The moment you start giving, you awaken power. Not money power, but creative power. The power to turn weakness into wisdom. Every act of giving tells the universe, I am abundant, and the universe answers, then abundance shall be yours. 2. The law of value. You don't get paid for time. You get paid for the value you bring to time. Even a flower, small, simple, carried value because it brought joy. Ask yourself today, what value do I bring to the world? 3. The silent partner called faith. When you start believing in yourself, faith becomes your business partner. Faith attracts opportunity, connection, and miracles. It turns the invisible into income. 4. The courage to begin. Every dream demands a first step. The beggar's first flower was small, but it was his seed of destiny. Don't wait for perfect. Start with what you have, where you are. 5. The power of service transforms status. When you live to serve, you never run out of purpose. The beggar served beauty, and beauty paid him back. 6. The circle of growth. Growth is a circle. You give, you grow, you receive, you give again. The more he gave flowers, the more people gave support. The more support he received, the more flowers he could grow. That's the law of momentum. 7. The voice of self-worth. For years, the beggar's voice said, I'm nothing. But when he chose to give, that voice changed to, I matter. And when you start believing that you matter, the world starts treating you that way. 8. The mirror of the mind. Your outer world is just a mirror of your inner world. Change the reflection inside, and your reality transforms outside. The beggar stopped seeing himself as poor, and wealth found him. 9. The path of purpose. Money fades, fame fades, but purpose lasts forever. The beggar became rich not because he earned coins, but because he found meaning in his giving. 10. The final lesson. We all have something to give. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's love. Maybe it's your story. And when you give it with honesty, the world will return it multiplied. That's not philosophy. That's life. So remember this. You are not your situation. You are your decision. You are not your past. You are your potential. Every time you give, your spirit grows. Every time you believe, your world expands. Every time you see yourself as more, you become more. If you found meaning in this story, take a deep breath. Think of something you can give today. A smile, a word, a hand, an idea. Because greatness doesn't begin when you have everything. It begins when you decide to give something. Stay motivated. Stay giving. And remember, when your thoughts change, your future changes too. If this message touched your soul, don't just scroll, like, comment, and share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe to Stoical Mentors. Control your emotions, control your life.